You can live a life full of love and light if you just let the Spirit guide you. It's the remedy where you'll find peace, but you must let the Spirit guide you.
Who made y'all priests?
What's up, world? This is Ifafore.
What's going on, good people? This is Oseun. Welcome to season 5 of the Who Made Y'all Priest podcast, where we talk about our spiritual journeys, our everyday life experiences, and the issues of the times from the perspective of two people who just happen to be priests. Welcome back, good brother Ifafore. What's going on, man?
Hey man, I was so excited. I put a little extra juice on, a little extra sauce on my What's up, world? What's up, world? This is Ifafore.
I know, man. You was kind of loud, man. That was in all caps with the exclamation point.
Man, for real, man. I was super hyped, man. It's been a long time, man. I missed y'all, man.
Yeah, it do seem like it's been a long time, man. It seems like we ain't done no recording in about a year. It seems like a long time, man.
Yeah, I think this has probably been our longest break that we've had. I mean, it ain't really been that much longer than normal, but a week or two or something like that. But yeah, man.
Oh yeah, and we back at the people, man. Season 5, man. We finna be 5 seasons in, and we got a good episode for them, man. What's going on with you, man? What you been doing during the break?
Man, what I've been traveling. Went to El Salvador. Went to South Africa, went to Zimbabwe, almost got killed by a rhino. So, trying to get acclimated, kind of rebound, get my feet up under me from this whirlwind of a personal year, the universal year 7, man. I think I finally figured out a couple of things and put some things in place to kind of carry me on to the next year in the new cycle, man. How about yourself?
I've been traveling too, man. Like Cleveland, Texas, the Woodlands, Texas, Conroe, Texas. Just working, man. All work and a little bit of play, man. I started back playing basketball, so I feel. I'm feeling a little bit better, man. I'm out there getting me some buckets, man. We're going to have to get the people. We're going to have to do like some type of priestly basketball game or something like that, man. I really want the people to see me and you hoop, man, because the last time you and I was going, scratch a little bit, you had all these phantom injuries. So, yeah, we're going to have to get that going.
Yeah, you've been having phantom injuries too. Like, ankle, all kind of stuff. Knee, back. You talking about something? You was playing basketball, got an earache. Like, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you get them type of injuries with basketball, man. Bro.
I just be sore, man. But I be out there getting it, man. Once I get warmed up, man, I'm straight, man. I'm straight. So we're gonna have to get that together. And when you and I finally get together, we're gonna have to record it, and it's gonna have to be. We're gonna have to put that up for the people, man, so they can see it.
If I get the ball first, you're not gonna get a chance to warm up, yo.
There you go.
That's the problem.
I heard that a whole bunch of times.
What I'm saying? That jumper is water, and it's been a minute, but it's still water, though.
I heard that a whole bunch of times, man. A whole bunch.
Man, this feels good, man.
It do, man. It do. It feels. It does. It feels easier. I'm not as nervous as I used to be getting on here. I used to be nervous every time. I used to have these jitters, these butterflies every time we got on the camera. But yeah, man, I feel good. I feel real good about this season.
Yeah, I still hate hearing myself on camera because that's not how I sound in real life, at least the way my ears hear. So,
right.
But
that's like hearing yourself on a voicemail. Like, yeah, that's how I sound.
Right. Like, that ain't me.
Right.
That ain't me. Man, we got a special episode that we're going to jump off, season 5 with, to the point where we're not even going to say who it is. We're just going to let this person introduce themselves. So let's just jump right on into it.
Aboro Boye, Baba.
Today, Woody Wolf phone. How y'all doing?
man. We doing well, man. We glad to be here with you. We know that your time is precious, so we appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to come here and kick it with the Young Our Wolves.
Oh, absolutely, man. You know, I've been watching y'all over these few seasons since that inauguration. Y'all come a long way. I don't know if I need to reveal myself anymore about who made y'all priests, because y'all done drew some controversy.
Oh yeah. We out there with the controversy now.
That's Oseun. He been looking for controversy since episode 1.
All right.
Hey, leave it to the Oya God children. They always stirring up something.
Right.
All right. What you got, Ifafore, right?
No, Baba, remember the last time when we did it, you know what I'm saying? You kicked us off, you know what I'm saying? Pour libations, gave us a beautiful prayer to make sure our season went well. So, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And so, do you mind blessing us right quick?
I think I can do that.
Appreciate you.
All righty. Omi tutu, oni tutu, ile tutu. Tutu ori, tutu egun, tutu orisha. To all the divine forces on earth and abroad, for all those that came before us, our ancestors, we summon you from the grave, from the bones. We ask you to come and access the Akashic records, the corporeal library, to take us back to when it was, to bring us to the future, to bring forth the blessings for all those who are looking for growth, expansion, to change, shift, and move. It is the times we live in, but everything is in divine order. Despite wars, despite turmoil, everything is in divine order. For it is the Awos that regulate the planet. It is those of the craft that regulate the planet. On this day and at this time, we ask you to continue to help the young brothers grow and expand, change, shift, and move, to raise eyebrows, to make people question themselves, to step out of the boxes and into the new path, into the new light. With this being said, in the spirit of those who came before us, our ancestors, we say Ashe, 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 O To.
So we appreciate that, Baba. We appreciate that. You know, that's how we gonna be kicking off the season right now. We knowing that season 5 is gonna be one of our most explosive seasons, one of our most controversial seasons. So we appreciate that, Baba.
There you go again with that controversy stuff.
We need that, man. We need that. We definitely need that, man. We need that. So, Baba, for the people, once again, introduce yourself to them and tell them once again your relation to us.
Well, I was born Stephen Mackey, December 30th, 1957. At this taping, I'll be turning 66 in about 30 days. I always think about I'm coming up on 20 years as a priest here in another month and a half. It'll be about 20 years as a priest, but it seemed like more than that. It seemed like I've been a priest all my life. The journey is real. The ups, the downs, the pluses, the minuses. I wouldn't trade it for anything because the lessons are priceless. The journey has been priceless. And, you know, the day you two walked into my life gave me a little bit more ease. I have a gift for sensing certain things. And, you know, the work that you guys have been doing over these seasons, and, you know, you're coming up to a celebration of your coming into about 4 years. And it seems like you guys have been around the block quite a few times. So, you know, it's important for people to know your lineage. It's important for people to know their home. I am Chief Oluwo Obafemi Fayemi Epega. I was initiated in Akure, Ondo State. I was initiated among a group of brothers and sisters that belong to a particular Ile that is considered very old and very traditional. But they were very academic and they were very precise. So it fit my nature. And so this is what I try to pass on to you guys. You know, growing up in the 90s, up under the teachings and the traditions of a lot of the Pan-African elders, the conscious community, most notably, Thai State African Historical Society, the brothers who gave me a lot of knowledge about Kemet that transferred over, synchronized into Ifa, and it's been a blessing. So, you know, when I run across brothers such as yourself that have that appetite, you know, that have that hunger, you come with a lot of questions. Y'all had a lot of questions. And you remind me a lot of myself. And to bring this format, you know, to the public, to where people even watching these programs or at the end of this program I know for a fact most of them that have gave me feedback, they still have. I mean, they have questions, they have new questions, but most importantly, they got some answers, and
Sure.
that's what this should be about. So, you guys, I'm proud of you. A lot of people are proud of you. It's time to travel. It's time to see the world now. You got to get out. I believe in all of what you're doing, but the blessings of Ifa are many. But it's when you can set your bare feet on the sands of distant lands and seeing the energy of people. And I think that's your guys' next step. So it's time for you guys to take it international, even if it's on Zoom. You need to go international. Go
Ashe.
sit somewhere in Brazil, Central America. Go sit somewhere in Africa and talk to some people. So you got to put it out there. I'm putting it out there for y'all.
Ashe.
Yeah,
Ashe.
we appreciate that. Yeah, yeah.
Appreciate it, Baba.
So you've been a priest for coming up on 20 years now. And you are a priest of Ifa. And what other energies are you?
Oh man, priest of Obatala, Oshun, Shango, Bayani,
Kawo.
uh, Irenle Egun, Ogun. I received a lot of Orishas, Egbe, because I work with a lot of Orishas, the Ibeji. So it's all on the resume.
Right.
I got a lot of names, but the funny thing is that there are people who still call me Baba Femi. And Baba Femi is actually my Orisha name for Obafemi.
Mm-hmm.
So my Ifa name is actually Fayemi, Ifayemi.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm comfortable with either one.
Right.
Ashe. Ashe. So, Baba, 2023, being a universal year 7, and for our Oseun and myself was also a personal year 7. And we talked last season about that energy of that 7 and what it comes with. Being introspective, going within, sitting by yourself, expanding spiritually. And we were candid about, our struggles, our growing pains in this year 7 versus 9 years ago. It was a completely different year, like a completely different energy for us. How was this universal year 7 for you? How did you grow and expand this year?
Oh, it was interesting. It was a lot about rebuilding, repairing, restructuring my own foundation, setting some new goals. I'm initiating some changes for the upcoming year of 2024. And a lot of those changes are not just based in and around 2023. 2023 gave me a lot of insight to know that I have to initiate certain changes. And the change is all about or in alignment with expansion and growth. The cycle of life, the cycle of existence. And that is, where did I come from? Who am I? What is my purpose? How do I attain it? So once I come to the point of knowing my purpose, and I've attained it, and now I got a good sense of how to maintain it. Now I have to find ways to expand on it. Because when we say Orumala, spirit of destiny, destiny often connotates you're trying to reach a destination. Our destination is based upon a completion of a life, of our journey. So basically, the focus on purpose to reach our destiny. And the destiny is the good position. The destiny, reaching that destination, even if that takes you back home to Orun or heaven, then the journey is successful. Turning 66, obviously I got a lot more life behind me than I do in front of me. Not that I don't have some good years left. I do plan on being here, breaking it down till I'm, 100 years old. But the primary focus for a priest, in my opinion, should be constant expansion. Because that's nature itself. Nature changes daily, but it doesn't. A sunrise and a sunset. But the one thing we know, the day that marked yesterday, and we'll just say November the 29th, 2023, Well, today is November the 30th, 2023. The thing we know for sure, November 29th, 2023 will never ever come again.
Mm.
So we are going forward, whether you're an Ire or a Sobo, you're always going forward. The thing of it is that how do you embrace the changes that Ifa, your Ori, your ancestors, the divine forces that we call Orishas are pressing upon you to initiate. And all those things are here to help us understand purpose to reach that destination.
I say. So just to kind of pull on that a little bit more, what would you say 2023 taught you?
Of the many things, I think the thing it taught me most was that you have to step into those things that you sense, that you intuit, that will be priceless to you. One of the things that I learned in 2023 was that there are some things that are very, very priceless.
Mm-hmm.
And how to step more into it, how to embrace it. Family, close friends, even understanding certain hardships of what Ifa brings. People transition, they go home. I'm looking at how people have reacted to the Russian-Ukraine war. I've watched how people react to the Palestine-Israeli war. Watching how people are fidgeting around the financial institute, interest rates, Bitcoins, all this type of stuff. The political scene, Trump going to run for president or is he going to go to jail or both? It's not enough to say people can present you with what you think are problems or conflicts, but for the most part, you are your own classroom and you have to step up to understand, what is your war? What is your conflict? And out of that, you have to find those gems that you can take rough and smooth them out. And you find out those gems is what I said initially, it's what's priceless. Right. And that's the biggest thing I learned in 2023 is understand the most priceless thing is definitely your peace of mind and freedom from anxiety. And, you get a little older, you lose some filters. It's a little bit easy to tell some things. I don't want to start profanity on y'all's show, but, you get to a point where you realize there's some things you just don't really have to give a fuck about anymore. Right. It can weigh you down.
Right.
And the thing of it is to, as a lot of folks say, start unpacking. Right. So I unpacked a lot of stuff 2023. And the load is much lighter. And of course, the growth of godchildren into the priest class, that definitely takes a lot of load off as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I should. So this is going to be our season 5 premiere. And we're titling this the Ifa State of the Union. Right, where
okay.
Where as the president of the union, we're going to have you speak to the people about Ifa and how Ifa has changed, where Ifa is at today. You've already talked about, Ifa or things in general changing, growing, and expanding. And I remember when I first met you, it was a year 11 too. So I was open spiritually. I was ready for the word. And one of the early things that I remember you saying was talking about how Ifa is changed. Mm. And this is why we don't have a book like a Bible or Quran, because, every day it continues to expand. And you had me at that. I was like, oh yeah, he preaching today. So being that you're coming up on your 20th anniversary, and I know you were, into Ifa, being a priest, but you were into Ifa a little bit even before then. How has Ifa expanded and changed since you first came into Ifa?
Well, first and foremost, if I'm going to go with a good understanding of what it is, the array, it's come a long way. It is still what I consider a beautiful poetic romance with the universe and nature itself. To understand the natural order of things, I think it's definitely part the drama of the human condition to elevate itself. The indigenous people of this planet had a intimacy. They cultivated an intimacy with the natural order of things, sacred times, sacred seasons, planets, hunting, gathering, moving, just harvesting, planting, all of that. Ifa is a pantheon of orishas. All these orishas are nothing more than forces of nature. They're rivers, they're lakes, they're streams, they're brooks, they're mountains, they're hills, they're trees, they're rain, wind, everything that you can think of in nature has a correlation to those divine forces. And spiritual beings having this experience as humans, nature is our teacher. Nature is our first teacher. Mm-hmm. And it's important that we continue to grow with that, because I don't want to sound like a Christian, but it is our salvation to know oneself. Mm-hmm. That is your salvation, to know yourself, understanding what you're here to do. Ifa still provides that. A good dafa, a good ebo, a good adimu, a good offering, bring something to the spirit of completion in that moment. To get a reading, or to give a reading to someone, to have an ebo, a ritual done for you, or to implement a ritual, initiate something for someone. Someone called me today and was telling me about their child I did work for, that they wanted them to be safe, that they wanted them to get off drugs, that they want to get them to a rehab. Well, she called me today and she said, I found out my son has been arrested. And I don't understand. I thought we did something to help him. And I said to her, this ain't Burger King. This ain't you can have it your way. You now know where your son is.
Yeah.
You now know he's in safe hands. You now know he has no access to drugs. So however Ifa brought you down Main Street and you was looking all the way down 2nd Street, the fact of it is that this may have been the only way for your son to get to a point to save himself. Mm-hmm. So I don't question that. Okay. And so she understood. And I'm saying that because that's Ifa.
Right.
Even as priests, if we go through step 1 through step 5 to help someone or help ourselves, we have to be open to the fact that instead of it coming out that, waiting for it to walk through the front door, it comes through the back door, it comes through the side window, it came in. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And we have to give nature its own intelligence to allow it to operate the way it operates best. We're just the medium, we're just the messengers. And I think that beauty of Ifa is what is attracting people in numbers, even if they are unconscious of what I just said.
Right.
They sense power, they sense magic. The ego can be lifted. Some people say, oh, I got to be a priest. They get a little thirsty because they want to now say, oh, this can make a bunch of money. I mean, it's no different than a prosperity preaching minister. It's capitalism at its best that's starting to come into Ifa. Shortcuts are coming into Ifa. You don't have to know as much today as you did yesterday. And I say that because everything is becoming easily accessible. I never thought the day would come when when an initiation could be watched from beginning to end on social media. When I went through it 20 years ago, it was the most sacred thing. The word Awo means keeper of secrets. Things were not shared. They couldn't even give you the full identity of what you were going through. I did not identify all the things you were going through until you went through it. Then I identified it for you.
Right.
So there's sacredness in secrets. Secrets carry a certain sacredness. And so I think one of the things that, if I'm going to those sober, one of the things that I see Ifa as losing is a certain element of sacredness. I came up, we had about 5 books and about 3 or 4 people who would talk about Ifa. Now, in some cities, man, it's a Babalao on every block. That's not a bad thing, but sometimes things get lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
And having meet our woes who've been around 3, 4, 5 years and can't die fire. And then when I hear their story, how they went through Igbodu or initiation, I don't criticize. I just often ask them, well, what are you really looking for at this point? You know, how do you feel about your growth? And a lot of them are disappointed in their own growth. But I think because you stepped in with not the right preparation. And so when you think about where we are with Ifa, and it's expanding, you know, and it's attracting all shapes, sizes, colors, gifts, capacities, traumas, troubles. It's just this big melting pot. And weeding out what works and what doesn't work is really a challenge of a good Awo, a good Ia during these times. But, you know, I stand with Ifa 100. I do what I do in my own corner of the world. I still, to this day, I don't go on social media to criticize anyone. I'm not going to get into that low vibration. But, you know, it is sometimes disappointing to see people or hear people participate or have conversations and literally have no reference from an elder of what they're talking about. Guessing, doing things of that nature can really be dangerous when you're dealing with divine forces, because they are real. You know, it's very simple. Yeah.
Right, right. It's funny you breaking about the sacredness. I just saw, I think yesterday, where you can go on Etsy, get order your initiation, a priesthood initiation.
Yeah, I think it's like $5,400 or something.
Did something like, I think the one I saw was like $34.95 or something like that.
Yeah, and if you act now, you can get upgraded with an Orisha for $19.99. I feel you.
Man, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's, you know, we've talked about how long you've been in the tradition. We've talked about how Ifa has changed since you first came into the tradition until now. Last season, Ifafore and myself, we talked about how a lot of people say that Ifa doesn't work for them, that it doesn't work. Many of us were running from the dogma of Christianity, but we brought with us the same thought processes to Ifa. Ifafore and myself, we came up with a few things, but we felt like all of those things could be summed up in one word, and that one word was dogma. We know that there's a lot of dogma prevalent in Ifa today because of where we come from. Ifafore has said many times that we are still first generation practitioners, so we have to be given grace. But how prevalent is dogma in our tradition, and how does that hurt us in our tradition?
Well, here's what I've seen. Okay. 1980s, the 90s, Ifa was coming up. It was heard of, but mostly identified with the Lukumi and Santeria practices, a little bit of Vodun, not much Candomblé. And so it was a mystery to a lot of melanated people. And because of its newness to the mind, a practice of such, that was a challenge for a lot of people. the cultural aspect of Ifa belonging to the Yoruba people, the living tradition of those individuals along the west coast of Africa is a very interesting thing, because it's a beautiful system, but it is very highly patriarchal.
Mm-hmm.
And so from a culture perspective, and a lot of us don't like to say this, most folks around the world that are dark skinned or brown skinned are very conservative. And that goes to how you raise your children, how you treat your household, how you do your work. It can be looked upon as something very old, something very traditional, but it is part of their cultural continuity. African Americans coming in contact with that, we know we can't bring the patriarchal in this. That's a big struggle. But the thing that really stands out for us is the colonized mind, and that continuity has not been broken. So see, our cultural continuity was cut off.
Right.
It was cut. And we had to recreate anything of what our culture looked like, but we didn't even know the language anymore, let alone the foods, the sacred times and seasons. So we had to recreate things. Now you're talking about DNA, you're talking about heart memory. Just because you reject the church does not mean the colonized, capitalistic Western culture has cut you off. And so in your moments of not knowing, your only reference that you had is often religion. And that's what has happened to a lot of practitioners here in Ifa. I myself have used the Bible many, many years as a reference to teaching people about Ifa. You all heard it.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to do that. People say, why you do it? I said, I have to do it because they have no idea of when I'm speaking about Ori, or when I'm initially talking about Ifa for people who are Ifa 101 and green. So I have to give them a reference. And when I do that with Bible, they go, oh, okay, yeah, now I know what you're saying.
Right.
But if we could leave it in getting the reference and understanding, and then go back to that esoterical part and practicalize it and spit it out, we'll be okay. But what happens in a moment of despair, confusion, we operate from that point of view. For example, Baba Ifafore, you go to Ibadan and get initiated in Ibadan, Oyo State. Baba Oseun, he goes to Oshogbo and he gets initiated under another family. And you guys meet up and then you talk about your initiation. And Baba Ifafore says, oh, to Baba Sheun, oh, you had a rat? You had a large rat? I ain't had no large rat in my ceremony. Oh, well, you ain't initiated right. In other words, you're back to the battle of Jehovah's Witness versus Baptist, Baptist versus Presbyterian, Presbyterian versus Church of Christ. So we don't understand that throughout Nigeria, different states, different cities, different regions, you got, whether you're Ijebu or you're over here, with another type of lineage, or you part of the remote states, traditionally, it is known that people would do certain things differently. And so that's the thing that we as Africans here in America have to understand. We have a universal right through our ancestors to do certain things differently. But what happens is the integrity can be lost within your structured, cultural, colonizing, and Western culture. That's that little thing in this matrix that can't get you to embrace the whole esoterical, the whole intelligent wisdom of nature itself. So we do, I believe, as people here in the West, I think we have a better chance of expanding Ifa, in a sense, if we keep the integrity of what nature is, our experiences coming up out of a history of slavery or a history of colonization, this is actually our salvation. This is actually the way we can expand and change in our ways of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
For me, that's the most important thing, because the sacredness of Ifa remains in nature always. For us to go into nature and try to pull it out, that's a heck of a job. We can do it, but you can't operate pulling it out with the tools that's been handed to you through historically Western culture. And that structural mindset is you're gonna come out a lot of times with a failed product.
You know, the whole thing about wisdom of nature, we talked about that last season, about one of the reasons why people struggle in Ifa is because, to me, as was taught by my Oluwo, first thing is the name Ifa. What does it mean? The wisdom of nature, natural order of things. Most of us is skipping past that and just trying to find out what our Odu is. You know what I'm saying? I don't understand how you are in tune with the wisdom of nature if you don't even want to go outside till the sun go down. You don't even walk around your backyard barefoot. You know, you don't even like to be outside and get any fresh air. You know,
how can you really connect with the natural order and the wisdom of nature when your thinking is, I did this elbow, I ain't made no money. I did this ritual, I ain't got no mate. You know, I sucked some aqua powder, but you know, ain't nothing happening. So then you say, well, Ifa don't work for me. No, your higher self is still disconnected from your lower self, because your lower self is still operating from a thing is, I got to get things.
mm-hmm.
So if you say, well, not really, Baba Femi, I just want to do the right ritual to get out from this, we'll just say from out this job. That has nothing to do with a ritual. People that need Ifa leave a job. People that's not in Ifa leave a job on a daily basis. You're looking for something that you really don't have to look for. If you're trying to do an elbow to leave a job, that doesn't make any sense to me. Why don't you just leave?
Right.
That's the sacrifice in itself. We say, well, I really want to go do what I want to do. Or what do you need to do? I need to go back to school, but I can't afford to go back to school. Okay, if going back to school is your only way to attain your goal, then sacrifices need to be made. I'm not talking about killing a chicken. I'm talking about killing some type of chicken in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
See, we're so quick to try to find the tenets of Ifa and the medicines and the magic and the so-called medicines and the so-called magic, the hocus pocus, to try to get something to work for us when we have not even put enough thought in it that we should even be doing it. We're so busy trying to find out how to do it, we never even really ask the question, should we do it?
Mm-hmm.
And so then you say, well, Ifa is not working for me. It's not that. It was never part of your destiny. You can't say it doesn't work. That's like saying, yeah, Ifa don't work for me because the sun keeps coming up on the east part of the world, and I don't know if I can live with that. That is my reference to people who struggle with the idea, yeah, I was in Ifa, but I got out because it just wasn't working for me. I really don't have a whole lot to say because you came in with the wrong mindset.
Right.
And I've had people say that to me, and I've never taken it personally. Never have taken it personally.
So I want to pull on that a little bit, because so the other day, I was on Instagram, and this lady I follow. What's funny is I don't know what made me stop and actually listen to what she was saying. Right? It was just like it was like she was being interviewed, or she probably had her camera up just recording herself give a message. I don't know what made me stop and listen to it. But, you know, she was, into some form of African spirituality. I don't know if I even knew that from her page, but a part of the message was she was in African spirituality. She was, messing with Orishas and the whole nine. And for whatever reason, she decided to leave that and go back to Christianity.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I'm like, okay, cool. But the part that bothered me about her message is that she probably was in whatever form of spirituality that she had practiced for some time. And for however long, she was happy with it. But on her way out, now that and then it cut to a picture of her, getting baptized and all this. On the way out, she decides she's going to bash those things that she spent however long, practicing, right? And how it was wicked and it was of the devil and this, that, or the other. But my thought process was why, and I don't know how prevalent this is, but why do you think people leave African spirituality, or let's just say Ifa specifically, and go back to Christianity?
Well, the first fundamental reason in my experience that comes to mind for the people I saw go back to church is loneliness. You lose a sense of community. One of the first early on around, I guess around 2007, 2008, one of the ladies left Ifa because she finally met somebody. And she was all thankful for Ifa because she, went through ceremonies. She prayed for a good mate. She met a good mate. But the brother told her she got to come to the church. And so she abandoned, Ifa, and she went to church. Now, I ain't gonna tell you what happened after 5 years with that relationship. But, I hope she learned the power of how to sacrifice yourself proper. And see, for me, when you speak about that, people leaving Ifa and going to the church, because in most cases with church, historically, Christians don't need to know a damn thing. They just got to believe. And that's a lot easier work than trying to know. I've often thought we the crazy ones because we want to know. We want to know. Knowing is power.
Definitely.
Right.
Applying that knowing is what makes you the God. Because see, God says, I am omniscience. Omniscience are all knowing. God said, I am omnipotent, omnipotent, all powerful. So we were taught there were three kinds of people. On the left side, you had the believers. On the right side, you had the knowers. And in the middle, you had the priest. And see, I realized when I was in the church, I believed. But my higher self, just like everybody else's, pushes you to a knowing. The problem is your level of comfort doesn't allow you to step out of that box and you just go deeper into the box, and you think the more you study a book, you become more knowing. No, you become more knowing of the book.
Right.
How does that book play with your life? You won't know until you do things opposite of the book. Living your life by a book does not bring you the knowledge. You also have to live the opposite of the book to get the full understanding of the book. Christians are going through that. They just don't know they're going through that. Because they use terms like oh, I've backslid. No, you ain't backslid. You just going forward as a human, you're a spiritual being having a human experience. What makes you think you're gonna do everything right?
Right.
And see, for me, when people go back to church, they're trying to find the comfort and the safety of community, and that the numbers of Christianity outweigh the numbers of Ifa practitioners. So the numbers of Christianity got to be right. Everybody can't be wrong.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a scary feeling. It's a scary feeling to be a leader. It's a scary feeling to trust yourself. It is very, very scary to trust things that you don't understand. And that's why the best practitioners of anything is going to have a knowledge applied, and also find the flaws within their own structure, because that's where your growth is.
So you mentioned, the community that's associated with the church. How good of a job do you think we've done in African spirituality, creating a community?
Well, in a lot of ways, Ifa is still in its infancy on the shores of America.
Mm-hmm.
The thing about America is, though, it's always been this kid that grows up very quickly. America is very fast track. It's a very microwave society. If you take anything in history and how it grew, it took hundreds and hundreds of years. America can get a hold of something and it can flourish to the top of its game in 10, 15, 20 years. That don't mean it's correct, but it was done the American way. And so, see, that's what you're having with Ifa. Ifa is growing the American way. It's very fast track. It's very microwave.
Yeah.
So when you really look at how we're moving, the way we're moving, it's important that people at least know what Ifa wasn't, as opposed to what it is. Because right now, people don't understand what it is or what it wasn't. They're just trying to create by taking all its tools and making something. And in that, you're losing a sense of integrity. And that's why I spoke about that about 20 minutes ago. Because one thing that we know about the culture of this country, from the time you're born to the time you die, there's an onslaught for you to never trust yourself, to never trust nature. Let's listen to the Weather Channel. Don't trust nature. Trust what you're given. And don't pay attention to astrology and numerology and divination. Just listen to the man telling you about the Doppler radar system that's going to tell you about your weather.
Right.
Meteorology. See, that's the thing we're living up under. That's the thing that gets you away from your integrity. When you can't be spiritually self-sufficient of understanding your makeup, how you wired, your blueprint, your design. They give you more of what you are as you opposed to understanding and discovering what you are. So that's why I say things like, there are times you come out with a failed product. I personally will say this: don't close the churches. But there's a lot of churches need to be closed.
Ifafore?
I was gonna see if you wanted to jump in and say something real quick, because I've been jumping in and have say something. I'm like, my brother might want to have something to say.
Baba been saying it all. He been saying it all. Yeah, this the way Ifa has grown has been very fast, and losing the integrity has stopped us from gaining the community that y'all was just talking about. Yeah, we don't have that real community. Everybody is doing everything by themselves. Yeah.
And see, it's when you go back to antiquity, and even if you started, if you go to 1831, August 1831, Nat Turner's planning revolt in New Jerusalem, Cortland, Virginia, and he's waiting for a sign from God. You know, the Reverend Nathaniel Turner. He's waiting for a sign for God to start to revolt. I mean, to go kill some people for his freedom. Sign doesn't come. He waits again. So finally, there's an eclipse. Nat says that's a sign from God. So the word was grab anything you can to kill anybody that don't look like you. And of course, you know, if you know history, you know, he did what he needed to do at that time, on record, still on record, for somebody of color killing more white people on record. It's like 50-some white people killed. You know, this is history. Now, think about what I just said about the church, 1831. Let's go into, we'll say, turn of the 20th century. Let's go to Harlem, where this Renaissance is occurring. And you have people coming out of that era, the Marcus Garveys, and you know, you start coming up more and more, and you look at what the church is. You look at what happened in Rosewood, Florida. We know what churches you know, you come up to civil rights and you're looking at King coming out of the church, and the Reverend Vernon Johns coming out of the church, and, you know, all these Adam Clayton Powell coming out of the church. And, you know, we can go on and on all the way up to Jesse Jackson running for president in '88. The thing of it is, you see my point of what the church represented. It was an extension of the community. Now you start going to universities, you're getting quote unquote more educated. The mid 80s, we saw the birth and expansion of the Nation of Islam and the Farrakhan. We saw the birth of hip hop. You start getting people like Public Enemy talking about social conditions. In the 90s, became the birth of the Prosperity Church. Everybody talking about giving money. By the time we roll around 2000 plus, these pastors now, they need helicopters, ATM machines. I have nothing against prosperity. But the church has always fitted the community and its needs. But the one thing the church has been consistent with is not providing the knowledge and the ongoing plan of Black folks to sustain themselves once they walk out the door. It's a one-day thing. To most people go to church. Now, I know that is not the message of most pastors. I know that's not their message. But it's something here, regardless of their message, that won't allow them. So that's why I believe church has to take on a whole new content. First of all, it's got to lose the slave mentality, because I don't care what nobody says. I don't care if you're a pope, cardinal, imam, sheikh, or mullah. Most churches in America and Africa, or wherever poor people are living, carries a colonizing, poor man's slave mentality. And you can't shake that until you do something different.
Right. Absolutely.
And so when you think about Ifa, what can Ifa provide that the church doesn't? Ifa, one of the things it does, it provides the very essence of what church does, and it is the knowledge of yourself. There are more people know scriptures in Jesus' life than they do their own life. Their whole purpose is to get to heaven, but not knowing what the hell they're supposed to do on earth. So that's an issue. And so the thing with Ifa that I don't want to see is that people get more concerned with its totems, its orishas, its rituals, its bimbes, its music, and the grace, the saving grace of Ifa has, is, will always be your Ori, your divine spirit. What the hell are you here to do?
Right.
And Ifa provides that roadmap through divination, understanding of self. You have an Odu that kind of marks your purpose. That Odu is just not 3-4 bars. That's a whole encyclopedia. If you 30 years, you got 30 times 365 days of patakis under your Odu. And if you my age, and you got an Odu like Ejiogbe, which people say got so many verses, think about all the verses I can add being 66 years of age as a child of Ejiogbe.
Mm-hmm.
As a child of Obatala, Ejiogbe. As a child of Ifa, Ejiogbe. My categories is Aj or money, Ejiogbe. My Odu as an Oluwo, Ejiogbe. I'm a child, hell, I'm built like Ejiogbe. I'm straight up slim.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just saying, but yet there's the stories that are created, not just from that book, but also from my own personal experience. That's what Ifa has taught me.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And that's the integrity and the wisdom of nature, knowing who you are, what you are. You can't live a perfect life.
Right.
When people say I live in good character, that's just not your behavior. Character is your acting. Are you acting within the capacity of your own integrity? That's your character.
Yeah.
It ain't got nothing to do about somebody slapping me and I'm slapping them back. That's called intelligence.
Right. Unless you were Virgo, you did come here to live a perfect life. So, ladies and gentlemen, this next segment is dedicated and brought to you by my brother, who I love, Awo Ifa Benga, Ifa Oseun. And this is titled Controversy.
Right.
This is his thing. So just remember that. I'm just a messenger. I'm just here. I'm just here for support. So Baba, last year we had our most controversial issue. I thought in season 1, like the Roe v. Wade episodes was controversial, but last season we made some people mad. People was mad and angry at us behind the episode about Ifa or homosexuality in Ifa. Oh, people was heated. I'm talking about Ifa practitioners and all. They was like, nah, that was not a good look. Y'all should not have done that. Oh man, Nadia, ooh, people was mad. People was mad, so they're gonna be mad when we come up with a whole nother episode tackling the issue. But so did you get a chance to see the episode?
Absolutely.
So what was your thoughts about not only the episode, but the issue of homosexuality or the LGBTQIA plus in E5? Look at that, I got it down.
So what did I think about that show?
Yeah, and just the whole the as we're talking about EFI shifting and changing, I'm sure when you came in, this was a thing. I remember hearing you say multiple times to us that when you go to Nigeria, ain't nobody asking you about who you sleeping with. So that's not even a topic. But here in the US, we understand it's a big deal, you know. So we felt like we had to address it.
Well, first of all, let me say this here. I thought the show was dope.
Thank you.
And the day you start worrying, the day you start worrying about, the day you start worrying about pissing people off, I mean, you might as well get dirt put on you, man. You might as well just call it a life, because you know, everything is learned through friction.
Mm-hmm.
You ain't learning nothing just being bad all the time. You ain't learning nothing by being good all the time. And when I say nothing, I mean, you're going to learn something, but if you're looking for total knowledge and information, you got to have some friction. Mm. Now, I have my own theories about lifestyles that people consider demonic or off the grid or abnormal. I mean, people who understand where we live, the times we live in. That whole show reeked of the Aquarian age. That whole show reeked of the Aquarian age. So if you get upset or you get triggered or you get your button pushed because some people who don't do what you do is upsetting you, my opinion is you on some bullshit because here's why. When you run for president, I've often wondered, who can I vote for to lower my cable bill, light bill, car insurance, interest rates? Ain't no president ever done that.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't no elected official ever done that. The things that matter to us the most, from car note and car insurance, things I'm talking about, things.
Right.
But yet they want to run a campaign about Brown versus Board of Education, Roe v. Wade. I personally believe it is the biggest hypocritical part of our matrix, is to distract you into shit you can never change.
Mm.
How we raise our children is how we raise our children.
Right.
How we want to live is how we want to live. I don't live with you. I don't get to choose who you screw or who you're going to love or who you want to walk down the street with. I don't have to agree with certain things.
Mm.
Because I don't agree with Pookie breaking in my house when I go to work. And if Pookie is heterosexual and love women, I'm not happy with Pookie just because of that. Pookie broke in my damn house.
Right.
So he said, well, Pookie saved by grace because, he's heterosexual. No. Pookie coming to my house, I'm going to put a hot one in it. So sometimes we get carried away with these agendas that are being pushed on us.
Mm.
I know you can turn on a television show now if there's not some type of interaction between people of two different so-called races, or no interaction of people of the same sex, or no interaction of people with alphabets behind their name. I know there's very few programs that are like that, that are not like that. So what are we going to do? So the question is, in my opinion, what does that have to do with Ifa?
Mm.
Ifa is the natural order of things. Ifa deals with laws of opposites, but that does not mean two women can't be together or two men can't be together. That has something to do with their Odu. That has something to do before they incarnated. Even if she was born a woman, had 4 kids, and changed her lifestyle. When we look at Bruce Jenner, which is one of the, and probably the only thing I have an issue with, I just don't think the brother should have won Woman of the Year.
Mm.
I think there was more credible women of different colors that have earned that spot better than he. That's all. That's the only one or only situation I really have a problem with. Because when you start telling me about lifestyles, if you treat me with respect, I can treat you with respect. If you can honestly know that I'm operating within the capacity of my integrity, I would like to see you do the same thing. Who you go home with, who you love, who you marry, has, is, and will never be any of my goddamn business.
Straight like
But
that.
if you come to me for help, I'm gonna treat you in the capacity of my craft. So when I hear Bible, I say, well, you can come to me for a reading, but I don't initiate gay people. I try to stay away from initiating foolish people. People say, well, Baba Femi initiate white people. Well, I got white people in my family. I got white people in my ancestry. So I'm not going to waste my time trying to find out. My thing is who's going to be a good practitioner. White folks in my organization haven't caused me the problem that the black folks in my organization have. So I'm not saying they're better. I'm just saying you can't bring up something based upon that to say what you shouldn't do. Now, I'm not trying to skirt around no issue.
Right.
I don't have to do that anymore. I really don't care what most people think about me anyway. It ain't my business what you think about me.
Right.
So saying that to say this here, I've met some beautiful people. More respectful of what I do and how I do what I do, that have problems with parents and jobs and health, just as much as you call straight people. This is America, people. Some of us need to wake the fuck up, because this ain't nothing you go save this country from, because the country don't need saving from that. The country needs saving from some bullshit called cable and the high price of things.
Right.
If that person living next door to you ain't trying to break in your house, if they dog ain't constantly trying to shit on your grass, I think life is good.
Right.
If you got a good paying job, some source of income, you got a family, whether you adopted them, bought them, whatever. If your bills are paid and you got a little money to take a trip, any old God will do. But when it comes down to people talking about right and wrong, if you're really a priest, right and wrong belong at a lower vibration than people who operate at a higher vibration, because people at a higher vibration don't look for right and wrong. They look for an understanding. So I'm a priest. I talk priest shit. So for me to say, well, what do you think is right or wrong about this? I saw in that interview, I saw some things that I could say was right, some things that I disagree with, but I have no judgment or condemnation. This is just an observing of things I heard and saw that was in line or based upon my truth of how I see my world. And that's less of a burden for me if I have to go around explaining to people what the hell I do and why I do it. So let me say this here though, and I want to clear this up. If you come to me and say, and I ask you what's your name,
I know where you go with this.
and you say my name is Sun Moon House, I'm gonna need the name that your mama gave you. You say I don't go by that name. See, there's still a protocol. There's still a protocol of the divine.
Right.
What you talking about, a protocol of divine, Baba Femi? When you are born, you cannot walk. You can't even crawl. You have to learn to roll over. Then you got to learn to scoot. Then you learn to crawl. To learn how to walk, you got to fall. There's a protocol of how you expand and grow. And see, for me as a priest, the protocol for me to help you, I have to get into your essence. I need to know your name, what your mother gave you, and what we call the ninth part of the soul. And the ninth part of the soul, based in Kemet, is called the Ren, which is your name. It's when your mother has taken you and put your head on her left breast and let you hear that heart to feed you. And she gave divine utterance your name. I don't care if you chose the name 5 months ahead, if it's a boy or girl. When you speak that name, at that time, in that place, science is taking a hold of your journey. Astrologically, numerically, how many letters in your name, how many vowels, what planetary configuration, what was the date on this Western Gregorian calendar, because that matters, because it's part of the collective consciousness.
Mm.
That's what I need to do. You can call yourself Shaka Zulu, whatever. I don't care. I just need to know at that time that divine utterance so I can do what I do best.
Right.
Right.
After that, whatever information I give you, you can take it or leave it alone.
Mm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And to bring that home, I've seen where people have gotten numerology reports and said the characteristics, attributes, and functions that were listed did not apply to them. And then it was determined, oh, my mama changed my last name when I was 5 or 6. Oh, this was my birth name. And when they go back and run it with that birth name, they like, oh yeah, that's me right there.
You
Right.
can't you can't take 20 years and let it supersede the universal energy of how things come in, operate, and leave. You can't do that. Nature is its own God. You don't get to dictate what is and what's not. It's called policy by man.
Mm.
So if it's your contract that you signed to come be born as a male and then change to a female or vice versa, to become as a man a lover of men or as a woman a lover of women, whatever you contract to do, whether you born wrong, right, whatever you made a choice, whatever, was it because of something traumatic happened to gravitate you toward this? You need to understand what that is as a person,
Mm-hmm.
to understand your purpose and how you reach your destiny. That's all I'm saying. So whether it's a wrong or right, to me, that's too much of a lower vibration for me at this point in my life.
Mm.
Right.
I'm
Right.
still watching what happened to Black folks in the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, when you start getting into that, and I'm saying this because that's why I thought the show was dope, mostly because it called controversy. Controversy, all it does is one thing. It provokes your thought.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people need their thought provoked.
Mm-hmm.
I should.
I say, you know, at the end of the day, after all of the LGBTQIA plus controversy, after us trying to figure out what's right, what's wrong, what's been gained, what's been lost in the tradition, at the end of the day, I think I can speak for all of us when I say that we are trying to push the culture and the tradition forward and in the right way. So what can Ifafore, myself, and our other 8 Ibejis as the newest class of priests, what can we do to help push Ifa in the right direction?
Oh, that's easy.
Mm.
Number one, continue to study how things come in, operate, and leave. In other words, how things come into existence.
I should.
Sacred geometry is more than just a configuration of signs and symbols and lines. It's actually an unseen force that deals with the weaving of one's existence. The other thing that's important is for you all to understand is that nature changes, but it doesn't. Nature changes, but it doesn't. We say God is changed and God is changed. God has to have change to know itself as itself. But there are things in that does not change.
Mm.
So everybody that's born is going to die. You're not going to prolong it any longer than it has to be. Even if they said you're supposed to die 3 years ago and you're still here, you still go die. Knowing that, and along with, this is the most important thing. The thing that I've learned up until this point, what is the most important thing? Despite what may be said, despite what you may think. There are times you need to go in a corner by yourself and do a critical analysis and ask yourself, am I truly operating in the capacity of my own integrity? Which means you need to find out what the hell you are and what makes you and gives you your integrity as the person or the spiritual person you came here to be, to have this human experience.
Sure.
That is very, very important. So those three things right there for you all and your veggies and any other awo or ear that's listening. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you I can guarantee you anything, because I don't know what your destiny holds for you. All I know is if I know your Odu and we're sharing your story, then there's potential for growth and wisdom. And that's what you want. And for me, as people have asked me of recent, because simply some of the changes that I've been going through, and they're all for the better, I said wisdom is a beautiful thing. Because it's like, if you don't know, now you know. And at the end of the day, you got to know who you are, what you are, and operate within the capacity of that integrity. I'm gonna give you one more example of that. This is important of what that means, because someone asked me when I was in LA recently, what does that really mean? And I said to them, and you all have heard the story, if I take you to the local zoo and you see a lion, I'm sure if you get in the cage, that lion is going to eat you, because that's what lions do. So that's the how can I say, that's the okie doke. Okay, you go down to the zoo and you get in the cage with a lion. You ain't Daniel in the Bible.
Right.
You go get ate. You go get attacked. I don't care how much you can have Jesus to the third power, you finna become a snack.
Right.
Now, this is important. That lion is doing what that lion does in that moment. But after that, that lion is not within its integrity, because that lion needs to be in a savanna doing what it does. See, some of us think we are in our integrity, but we're really in a cage operating as a reaction to something that's in our DNA to do. But if I put you on a savanna to hunt it, rather than it coming to you, puts you in a different frame of mind. Your survival instincts are better. You understand what I'm saying? To operate in the full capacity of a lion, I can't be in a cage. I have to be on a savanna in the tundra. I need to be operating in the full capacity of who and what I am. I need to hunt. I need to mate willfully. I need to fight, and I need to pee and mark my territory. But if all I'm gonna do is sit in a zoo and take vaccination shots and get fed ground beef, yeah, I'm gonna attack you if you get in that cage, but I'm still not operating within the capacity of my integrity.
Right.
And that's the story of Daniel in the lion's den, because Daniel told Nebuchadnezzar, I will not eat your meat, drink your wine, nor worship your God. Nebuchadnezzar said, into the den. Why didn't the lions eat Daniel? Lions don't eat lions. Daniel was a god. So that's the story. That's the shit got me kicked out of church, and rightfully so. And that is the wisdom. I use that because that's the wisdom of nature. Because I've been there. I've been there with two of my god brothers. I've been there with my god brother to actually go out in Masamari near the Serengeti and watch lions do what lions do. That's not the same mindset of the lion that's down there in your local zoo, or the one they train for shows down in Vegas, or the circus. It's not the same thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Baba, we appreciate you.
We love you.
We love you. This has been great. You done gave us what needed to be gave.
Ashe. Well, I'm proud of you, brothers. Y'all keep it up. A lot of good things being said about y'all. Even when they talking shit about y'all, I say I should.
I'll show you.
Say, well, how you feel about your woes? I say, I feel good. But you know what they was talking about? I said, yeah, I know what they was talking about. Why you think they was talking about that? I said, they got it from the Oluwo.
Yeah, we want to be able to talk about everything. We want to be able to provoke people's thoughts. We want to be able to get people to think outside of the box. I was talking to somebody just yesterday and told them how a lot of people on the outside looking in at Ifafore and myself having what they perceive as an argument, how they think because we disagree or because we debate that we're arguing. But we know amongst ourselves that we are just gaining perspective. That's all we're doing. I'm trying to understand why you think what you think. He's trying to understand why I think what I think. So at the end of the day, I think that's what we're trying to do. Bring up controversy, provoke people's thoughts, have them think outside the box, have them gain some perspective. So yeah, that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, and we two men from similar type of backgrounds and certain type of neighborhoods. Our discussions sound a little different. Our debates be loud.
That's what makes it work. That's what makes it work. You need the opposite for friction sometimes. That's what makes it kindred.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because and this is my last example. I won't even explain it. It's just homework for everybody. The Palestinian and Israeli war is the perfect example of challenging your belief system and where you stand. Your experience and how you want to see your world, the answer to that lies within that conflict. Think about it. That's some good homework for everybody.
I'll show you.
Take us home, brother Ifafore, right?
Hey, family. Season 5. You see how we starting off. So, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of going to tell you what kind of direction we going in. We greatly appreciate the support. We greatly appreciate you guys for tuning in. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You know, put this all on your social media. Send it to your grandmama and them. You know, they want to check it out. And just keep coming back with us. We going hard this year. You know, we're touching everything. You know, nothing is off limits. And if you got some suggestions, some things that you want to see, please feel free to comment us. You know, hit us up on our Instagram page. And man, just keep coming back. Keep coming back. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all. And you know, like our Oluwo said, man, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. You know, life is for the living. You know, live out loud and on purpose. Till next time, peace.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Peace.